Hey guys, Pastor Sean coming to you with our daily devotion. It is December the 31st, the last day of 2021, and I hope you'll be celebrating the new year with family and friends tonight. Let me say Happy New Year to each and every one of you. Thank you for watching this daily devotion, and thank you for those of you who financially support the ministry as well. It's been a good year with us doing this. It's been productive. We've made new friends and made new connections, and I've connected with some old friends and some friends who are across the country and across the state. And it's just been a good connection. It's been a good connection point. Stephanie and I are here in Rennes. We're still in Rennes. We ran into Augusta today. And as we were in Augusta shopping, Sky wanted to go to a bookstore, so we took her to a bookstore there. And we were at the bookstore, and I picked up a book that I've been wanting to read for a while. It's called Micro, The Way I Heard It. Micro, The Way I Heard It. Now, I don't endorse books or anything like that on a public basis, but we picked that book up. And the reason I like the book is because it's one of the few non-Christian podcasts that I listen to. And Micro's a great guy, and you may have seen him on Dirty Jobs and different things like that. And I really connect with his sense of putting your hand to the plow and getting to work mentality. And he's a great guy, does a great job. He's a great singer, a great actor, and he has that beautiful baritone voice. And he tells these stories that are kind of like an old Paul Harvey style story with a reveal at the end of who the character was, and it's usually somebody you know from history. And he took some of those stories and put them in a book called The Way I Heard It. And it reminded me of our jobs. In the early Old Testament, the shepherd's staff was passed down from generation to generation. And on that staff were the names of those generations. So by the time Abraham got his staff from his father, there were multiple generations of names on that staff. You would have Adam, the son of God, Adam on there. You would have Seth on there. You would come down through those lines and you would see names of fathers and sons and uncles and cousins, and all of those names would be written down, carved into that staff. That staff would be passed on and on and on, and they would orally tell the history of the creation of man, and they would orally tell the history of the fall of man, and they would tell that story again and again and again, and they would pass that on and add to it their own stories. When Abraham passed his staff to Isaac, he shared with him the stories that he had been telling him for decades. And when Isaac passed it on to his son Jacob, he told him the stories that he had been telling him for years and the stories that his father had told him. And then when Jacob passed it on to his son, and continued on down the line, those staffs told the stories. And as Jacob handed one, I'm sure, to each of his sons, including Joseph, Joseph added his story to that staff and passed it on. So many times we have things that we need to tell. Paul tells Timothy, preach the word. Be instant, in season and out of season. Reprove and rebuke with all long sufferings. So many times we as ministers get into a rut and we preach the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over. And we think it's just fantastic because we can preach this again and again and again. And we don't dive into telling people the things that they really need to know. We need to tell people that Jesus Christ is the way to salvation. My dad always says you can't get the cart before the horse. We can't tell people about fasting until we tell them about salvation. We can't tell people about tithing until we tell them about salvation. We can't tell people about the baptism of the Holy Ghost until we explain to them salvation. So we have to go through the history again and again and again. Abraham told that story to Isaac of the creation of man and the fall from the garden. He told him that story again and again and again, so much that Isaac could quote it to his son just verbatim. And then as Jacob passed it on and his sons passed those stories on, when it came time for Moses, several generations later, when it came time for Moses to write it down, it was easy because he'd heard it over and over and over and over. And as Aaron sat beside him, Moses said, "You know what? I was gone for 40 years from the family. Tell me the stories. Here's the stories." And Aaron could quote the stories verbatim. God brought it all back to him, told him the stories, orally told him the stories, and he wrote them down. What is it that you need to pass on to somebody? What is it that you need to tell? We're here at the end of the year, and now is the time to forget all of the things that have held you back and reach for the things that are brand new. Forgetting those things which are behind, striving toward the things that are ahead, we need to tell our story. We need to tell his story, the story of Jesus Christ. Just like Abraham told Isaac, Isaac told Jacob, Jacob told his 12 sons, his 12 sons told their sons, on down to where somebody told it to Moses, and Moses wrote it down so that you and I could have it today. There's a story to be told. There's a story inside of you. There's a story waiting to get out. Open up your mouth wide. God will fill it, and he will pour it out so that you can be a blessing to other people. Coming to you at the end of the year with our daily devotion, Pastor Sean saying, I love you. I'm praying for you. Happy New Year. God bless you all is my prayer.